Great.
So I'd like to officially welcome all of you to the Stockbridge Library's online poetry series, Medicine for the Soul. We have been hosting weekly poetry readings virtually for over a year now, and today is the culmination of our first series. We will take a break for the summer from the program and hopefully bring you some more poetry, perhaps in a different format, non-COVID, in the fall. And I'm going to introduce to you John Gillespie, who is the president of the board of the Stockbridge Library Association. And this series was his idea, and John has really orchestrated getting poets from across the nation to read for us. So thank you, John, for that. And we have had a collection of very talented poets, and today is no exception. Today, Karen Chase is joining us, and she's joining us from Lenox, Massachusetts, where she lives. She is the author of 2 collections of poems, Kazimierz Square and Bear, and an award-winning book, Land of Stone. Among her honors, she has been a fellow at the McDowell
Hey, hon, close my door, will you?
the Sanskriti Foundation and the Rockefeller Foundation's Bellagio Center. She's been the recipient of numerous grants, including several from the Whitner Bynner Foundation for Poetry and the Rockefeller Foundation. For over a decade, Karen in residence at New York Hospital Cornell Medical Center, teaching poetry writing to severely disturbed psychiatric patients. Karen, if you have a moment to tell us a little bit about that, that's very intriguing. But without any further ado, I'd like to thank you for joining us, and we'll turn the program over to you, John, and you, Karen. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Wendy. And Jeffrey, good to see you. It's been a while. So Karen, every week we start out with some basic questions for the audience to understand part of your creative process. So 2020 and 2021, I don't know, it seems like the, now the latest theme is the heat wave and the transmission grids aren't gonna, I don't know, I feel like every week there's a new issue. At some point in time, the issue is gonna outweigh the number of people in the world. But how was some of the, dramatic themes of 2020, the pandemic, politics, even 2021, have those issues started to show up in your writing?
Well, kind of funny thing is, for 2 years before the pandemic happened, I was writing a novella, a dystopian novella. And then there was the pandemic. So it was a very odd thing to have spent 2 years writing about a world where history is banned and there's very little dreaming left. So it was, that's what I spent 2 years doing. And then the pandemic came. So it was like I was already affected by it before it happened.
Wow.
I mean, I don't literally mean that I predicted it at all, but that was the world I was living in. And then the pandemic came. Yeah. So during the 1.5 years of the pandemic, I had just finished writing this novella. I spent a lot of time working on, getting Biden elected and doing things in politics to make sure things didn't get worse.
So how does a creative endeavor, a poem or some prose writing, how does that start for you? What triggers the start of that process for you?
Well, it varies enormously. But I would say there's a moment when the only thing to do is to start writing it, whatever it may be. And when I talk about Jamali Kamali, which I'll be reading from in a little bit, you'll hear the story of how that started. how the process started for me.
Great. So the final question before you're reading is, how do you know that something, one of your pieces is at a point where it's ready to be published?
Well, ready to be published and finished might be two different things.
Oh yeah, it's never finished. We know that. Just wondering when is it? Yeah.
I would say that in the way starting a writing project begins for me, things have come together and the only thing to do is begin to write. I would say finishing it is very similar. It's like you've gone the whole length and you know it's over.
Okay. No, absolutely great.
Excuse me, could I just interject for a second? Karen, I think there's a little bit of background noise. I don't know if other people can hear it. I wonder if maybe you have a fan on or something. Yeah, it's unfortunately making you a little bit garbled.
Okay.
And Terry Wise, good to see you, even though I'm not seeing your face. There we go. All right, Terry Wise. Yeah, great.
Better.
So Karen, we want to hear your reading today.
Well, John, I was so glad you asked me to do this today because it's June 30th and it's the last day of Pride Month. So it seemed to me it was an obvious thing to do, to read from a book I wrote quite a while ago called Jamali Kamali, A Tale of Passion in Mughal India. It's a homoerotic story of two men who lived in Delhi. I was wondering how Pride Month came to be. And it turns out, and maybe you all know this already, that in 1969 were the Stonewall riots, and where police raided a bar in Greenwich Village, a gay bar in Greenwich Village. And there was a lot of violence. And for the next 6 days, there were demonstrations, LGBTQ demonstrations. And 1 year later, there was a parade in New York City. It was the first gay pride parade, and it was June 28th, 1970. And that parade became the catalyst for pride movements all over the world. And ever since then, June has been Pride Month. So it just feels like, actually, it feels like an honor to be able to read from this book today. Jamali was a popular 16th century Sufi poet who lived in Delhi, and nobody knows who Kamali was. But according to Delhi's long-standing oral tradition, Kamali was Jamali's lover, and this was in the 1500s in Delhi. The few facts known about Jamali, where he traveled, the Mughal emperors he befriended, and the fact that he was killed in battle in Gujarat are included in my book. But the poem itself is pure fiction. Imaginings of love, sex, separation, and death drove me to tell the story. This is how it came to be. One morning, I was having a writing residency in Delhi, and one morning, the first week, the people at the Sanskriti Foundation were taken to a park in the middle of the city on a bus because there was a new archaeological restoration about to be open to the public called the Jamali Kamali Mosque and Tomb. So we get to this park, we go out of the bus, we traipse through brush up these hilly places, past ruins, past a river that's filled with garbage. And we go up and up and up, and we finally get to a place where there is the most beautiful mosque and tomb, very small and very beautiful. There's a sign, a brand new sign in front of the restoration, and it says, "This is the Jamali Kamali Mosque and Tomb." Jamali was a 15th century Sufi court poet and saint, and Kamali's identity is unknown. So then the conservator takes us into the tomb where there are two beautiful white marble graves set next to each other. And the conservator says, "This is Kamali's grave. He was a 15th century blah, blah, blah. This is Kamali's grave, his male lover." And I said, "I don't understand. I thought we just read in the sign you just put up that his identity is unknown. Now you're telling us something different." And he said, "We would never put that on a sign, but for hundreds of years, people have told the story that that's who Kamali was." Well, the disjuncture of that moment was so jarring to me that when I got back to my room at Sanskriti, I sat down and I started writing as if I were Jamali speaking to Kamali. It was a complete surprise to me that that's what I was writing about. For 2 years, I wrote every day as if I were Jamali speaking to Kamali, and it ended up being a book. I never had a plan to make a book out of it. I had no idea what it even was. But so to answer your question, John, how does something start? Things happen and you get inspired and you got to do it. So I'm going to read now. So the book, this is the book. The book is divided into 4 parts, and I'm going to read a little from each part. So I'll just be skipping ahead. So when I start, I'm going to be reading the beginning of the book, and when I end, I'm going to be reading the last few pages. So this is Jamali speaking. "In the plump dusk, I hear a peacock screech, eye marks on my lover's neck. Kamali, let's go to the lake to moisten our love scars. I will wash mud from your muscled legs. My secrets rest in the wedding hut. I visit another man as the moon circles down. Come, my protege, my Kamali, to bed. I will show you moves of a new planet as no astrologer could. Bonfires blaze in Delhi's winter. While dogs howl, I remove your kurta, your trousers, to teach you pyrotechnics. I am not called Professor of Fire for naught. The donkey is caught between two worlds, as am I, as are you. Last night I dreamt of two princes at play. Vehicles passing both ways will praise our marble tomb. Bonfires burn on every street. One day I will startle you, circle you as you huddle for warmth to show all our attachment. When you watch me dance with the marigold-clad beauty of our town, do not grieve, my boy. It is you I am picturing. It is you who will be buried with me in twin marble graves, high on the hill. It will be too late for any to object. Let them say what they will, and for centuries if they want. Kamali, you anger me. Go. The men will give you a broom. Sweep the sagwan leaves from my courtyard. Join the room, boys. Your moaning is of no use. Take heed. I have my eye on the young mason, his onyx eyes. His lengthy fingers will do me good. I shall shatter the tiles of heaven to illustrate how you peeve me. A pile of red and blue shards. My love for you and hate are large. One day I consume you, the next regurgitate. And you seem to waver as well. Nights filled with massive thunderbolts, dreams of rival women and men, violet sky, blue doors, green on the girl's attire, all praise Delhi's colors. Your love moves pale the palette. In the humid fields, our odd audience, a tiger here, a squirrel there, cheetahs too appear curious. You say, Kamali, you dreamt of bolts of velvet, carmine clothes for us both. Does this portend good luck? Who is the peacock here? One day you are, then me. I love our shifting plumage also, how the peafowl guard us from intruders. I'm so sad to be skipping when I'm skipping, but gotta do it. This next few stanzas are the end of part one. Again, an orange fog has come. Where have you been, Kamali? Are you a whoremonger? Why is your head always in my books? Storms are heading south from the Himalayas. Gather your belongings, we will do some traveling. Tonight, we will study maps by the light of my oil lamp to educate you in more ways than one. I ordered the kheer drugged with love potions. Have some. On the map of your body, there is nowhere I would not travel. Now I'm going to just read the little introduction to part two and then skip ahead. Throughout the reigns of Sikandar Lodi, Babur, and Humayun, Jamali's travels take him to Syria, Iran, Baghdad, Ceylon, Mecca, Herat, Damascus, Palestine, and Spain, making for many separations. Part 3. This is the introduction to part 3. Jamali reminisces to Kamali about the time when Jamali had returned from a hunt and a battle in Mewat, where he had been sent by the Mughal king Babur. The sand blew so hard, remember? We had to take cover. How close was the lion, you asked? Take off your turban, I said. Outside, torn roses blew past. Butterflies scattered. Remember how the roof tiles shook with pleasure? How close was the lion? You asked again. My mind roamed to that long ago dusk. A smoky-eyed boy poled his boat down the Indus. Later, camped in a tent, I slept unclothed, alone. Through the night, I rode a black leopard's lean back, my privates abuzz in the oleander air. The lion was close, I said. Battle blood from the day before, a tender boy bled from an arrow strike. I covered him in my kurta as he died. Sickened, I rode into the overlit noon, came on a field of riderless elephants crazed from gun sound, their soldiers trampled, common death everywhere I looked. Before this, I was sick for you and home too. Now, nothing at all. I taste apple in your mouth, Kamali, smell wheat on your chest. You've been threshing. Winds of the earth fatigue and seas find rest. The sad, bloody hunts of war and beast recede. The lion was so close, I felt his unusual breath. From all sides we stabbed the beast. I saw the lion's heart, his and the soldier boys, the same. Furrows, oracles, vena cavas, twists, turns, astounding aortas. After this, how to find life again. I knew then you are my life, my love, my lion, my wife. My long song comes as sand drops down the hourglass. Lion, I call you lion, your eyes for one, your glowering sun-drenched torso, your muscled thighs, bronze arms. When you stretch your arms towards me, throw your garments to the floor, recline on plush cushions, lay down your sword, wait, gaze and wait, time done with. No battle, nor woods, nor outdoors at all. Yesterday, the hour sounded, lion, sand descended. How many years now, me and my wild night lion moan, glisten, growl. Who says there's no time in the beamish fog, no wolf, no color, no cat? And here comes nothing like a man, a dervish. How mistaken one could be. Now I'm skipping to part 4, the last section of the book. And as I said earlier, you know, I started writing and just kept writing, and it was all pretty much of a surprise to me. And in the first 3 sections, the only person who speaks is Jamali. And I kept wondering, like, when is Kamali gonna speak? And I got to part 4, and here he is. It's 1536. The Mughal ruler Humayun is in power. Jamali has gone west to Gujarat with Humayun and other warriors to conquer territory. Finally, Kamali is speaking. Through the difficult air, Jamali, I speak to you from afar. Months have passed. Still, it is you on the paths in the fields. Your face I crave. The shine of your black eyes pulls me by heat so fractious and deep I can't stand straight. Rattled birds dart and hit the frantic air. I keep seeing a man's face on the path near the bamboo grove, hollow cheeks, taut, barefoot in the branch, the heart at last. Wordless, Jamali, do not ask. Sadness soaks me, meager speech, blankness, rash. In this thicket, dragonfly, take heed, your face, sweet beauty scar, a light. Jamali, your face, I'm speechless. No, your eyes are deep, no. Words land loud on the persimmon tree. Mouth, hip, I cower. Words blow like wind. I cower, Jamali, I'm chopping wood. I'm going to chop saplings. I taught you weather, Jamali, and fog. I taught you great bear in the sky. Monsoon, words you thought you knew I made fresh. Then you left. Birds sang single notes. You have warred too much, my professor of peafowl, my guide through the palace of pleasure, arch, bridge, corridor, banners swelling light as we loved beneath. Your musk pod, I need to smell your chest. The air is filling with elephant dung, waking me up. Curly black clouds are circling the fat, fiery moon. Drumming. A horse skids. Someone here. Someone is in my tent. Jamali Murda. Jamali is dead. No more will I throw my arm over your bony hip as you dream. Hold your member in my palm. No more will I glare at your face as you babble nonsense. No more winter spats. No more song. The horseman lifts the crimson cotton shroud, my shake, made small by death. Jingle of bell, his shriveling shell, a piece of small flesh. Jamali, you were tall. Riderless, the sour old elephant hauls you. The tomb laden with jasmine and sweets. Masters prepare their dance. Hubbub of neigh, cauldrons of fruit and rice, the courtyard full. You, released from your body's jail, villagers feast your spirit free. No, your forehead is gone. Your eyes are gone, gone your cheeks, your neck, gone your chest, gone hips, buttocks, penis, no more legs, your hair, gone. Your words, gone is your voice, your whisper. A pubic hair of yours found in your bed. This is my wealth now. Your tomb, no, our tomb gleams, polished red and blue tiles, white marble graves buffed to a shine. Room boys who brought us love potions make death preparations. Flute players line the dust-blown path to the mosque, stinging of celebration. In every niche, candles wavering. Through the ascending crowd, I wander down towards mute Delhi. Pricker bushes brush my legs. Nightingales lose their song. I thought you'd come to me in dream, but you don't. Leaves on the champa like torn cloth, the sky pink satin, the ground linen, the world like dyed cloth I will never touch. Jamali Murda, the jealous hill has you now. Your sound recedes. My hands you loved, idle now. I bury my pen and charcoal in the ground. Jamali Murda. I visit the bamboo grove where we used to meet by the stream. Jamali Murda, the mango orchard too. White cranes look for you. I am sinking. Birds stream uphill as I go down. Goodbye, hibiscus. Goodbye, plumeria. Snow must be falling on the Himalayas. Wrapped in shawls, a lemon in my mouth. I am walking north. Thanks.
Great. Does anyone have any questions or comments? No, Karen, that was a beautiful story. Very, very nice. I know we didn't get it with all the different excerpts, but I definitely got the gist of it. So it was really nice.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
I can say one thing. Hi, John. I just want to say one thing. That I was aware when I was getting ready for this reading that I really wanted to read the end few pages with his death, and that I have actually never read them in a Jamali Kamali reading, except once when I read the whole book. And that I think that's the effect of this last year, wanting to read the death and aftermath images.
Nice.
Karen, I've got a comment and a question. And the comment is I was struck by how wonderfully you wove the tomb and the sign into the story from your experience in Delhi. And my question is, which persona do you most closely identify with and why?
Both of them, and I don't know. I mean, I have no idea, but you know, when I was writing when I was writing as Jamali, I mean, I felt like Jamali.
Yeah.
And when I was writing as Kamali, I felt like Kamali. And I really, truly don't know why. You know, I'm sure it's a personality thing, you know. I don't know.
I'd forgotten, I really felt the difference between them. You know, I hadn't read it in a long time, and I really, especially the way you were reading it, I really, and then the intensity of, well, first, I mean, Kamali's sort of supercharged emotionally, first because of the absence, and then because of the death. So it really, there's a real intensity to that section. So I'm glad you read it.
Thanks. I should just say that Jeffrey Harrison is one of my very few close poetry buddies, and he pretty much reads everything I write. And you were great when I was working on this. Thanks again for the millionth time.
Karen does the same for me, so yeah. Oh, wait, John, you're muted.
Karen, we still have some time if you wanted to read another short segment or a poem.
Or I could tell you a funny story about this.
So good.
This is about having written this book based on two people who actually existed, but for one of them, nothing is known about him. And for the other, just a tiny bit is known about him. So I was in a position, I was free to make whatever I wanted up. When I went to Delhi after the book came out, the book was published in India, and then I went there to the Jaipur Literary Festival and, you know, took the book around there. Then I got back to the States, and there was a lot of stuff in the press in India about the book. And every once in a while, I would look up to see, you know, what was going on. And one time I Googled the book, and there was this travel site from Delhi that told about, you can visit the Jamali Kamali Mosque and Tomb, and this is the subway you take, and there's a great place to eat right near the subway, and then it's a short walk, and then it says, and if you want to know more about Jamali and Kamali, get Karen Chase's book. And then it quotes lines that I made up that are total fiction as examples, as, you know, illuminations about these men. So it was really a weird thing for me, obviously, but also, you know, profoundly interesting in terms of what happens with history. So I wrote to the website and I said, the book's a fiction. I made everything up. And they put they fixed their website. But since then, you know, the book came out in 2011, so it's 10 years ago. Since then, I mean, it gets mentioned every once in a while, and I can see how history gets all screwed up by people doing what I did. You know, it just, I mean, a number of people read this and thought it was a translation from the 1500s. You know, it's just a weird thing. So that's That's an interesting story, I think.
Now, Karen, I like that because I think it's the last 2 years, it's been very hard to discern the truth. I don't even know if you can discern the truth, except that the sun goes up and the sun goes down, and that we're breathing or not breathing. Everything else I feel like is subject to interpretation. I hope it's not that way, but it seems like every time you see something in the newspaper, on TV, there's another little twist to it that makes you think about, I don't know, maybe that's not true.
Right.
Maybe we just walk on one leg, not two legs.
Right. And maybe the sun didn't go up and down. Maybe it crashed into Portland or something.
Yeah, I think it did. It's 118 degrees. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Yeah. I don't know. I feel sorry for my kids who are 40 and 37 that are now going to live for another 30 or 40 years. I feel like the drama quotient is huge. Not drama, just events, resource. It's just, I don't know. It just seems like there's so many things going on. I feel like it's continues to be a very crazy time, even in the very quiet state of Maine.
Writing helps.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say this is, mostly a work of the imagination, and a lot of it was already sort of mythologized. So it's more like a parallel universe. It's not, where the imagination can thrive, and most people know that it is a work of the imagination. So it's not like I think it's like you said, really interesting that you've now contributed to the myth. I mean, but you didn't act like you were, this is supposed to be, facts. It just sort of got misinterpreted a few times, but you're really doing something different, where anything does, the imagination can go anywhere it wants. I mean, it's a little bit different than the distortion of the truth.
Yeah.
Well, if there are any more comments or questions, we welcome them. If not, I would like to, Karen, thank you once again for joining us and for reading for us and immersing us in this world, poetry and imagination and fiction and talent for the last hour. And again, this program will be recorded and uploaded onto the YouTube channel for the library. So if you would like to share it or hear a certain section again, stockbridgelibrary.org. Thank you all very much.
Yeah.
Thank
Karen,
you.
thank you again.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for having me. It's
Yeah.
really a pleasure.
Wendy and John, thank you so much for this program. I hope there will be more in the fall.
Yeah,
Thank
Wendy and I are
you.
working on it. We're working. We're gonna have to use our imagination, Karen. Jeffrey, we're gonna go with imaginary poets. There was a
That would be
poet
good.
named Jamal who's gonna be on the show. It's from 1500. No, little, yeah, Wednesday afternoon humor. No, very good. Great reading. Thank you very much,
Great,
Karen.
great job, Karen.
Okay, take care.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you.
All right,
Bye, everyone.
bye.
Bye.